Low light detected, 14 minutes. Whoa. Hi. What's up guys, Truman here, welcome back to another video. I am going to attempt the Herculean task of doing this all in one take because the light is slowly dying. It's been a very eventful day and I can't afford to slip up, so whatever comes out my face, deal with it. So it's currently NoFap day. I have no idea because for the 100th time I don't count the days because it makes me absolutely insane. And I am aching because I finally took my own advice and started to do upper body workouts and lower body workouts. And I tell you, the effect on testosterone, like your voice goes down, like I totally forgot about it. And it's sort of one of those things where, hey, you're crazy into health, but you just don't do any exercise. And I would get to these plateaus in any sort of a health challenge and I'd be like, why aren't I getting any better when I'm glued to the fucking chair with no energy to move around? And it's like, yeah, because you've got to find a way to actually do it. And in fact, there's actually a way to put on muscle while you're fasting as well. And when I say fasting, I mean juice fasting. And there's some people claiming you can do it with water fasting, but that's another stretch. So I'm going to see whether or not it's possible to put on weight on a liquiditarian diet because I'm currently intermittent fasting. But other than that, just riding the benefits of increased testosterone. I've been taking a supplement, D-aspartic acid, which is very good. I've also been maxing out on the iodine. Wow, I ache. But it's sort of one of those things. It actually reminded me of a saying that I heard ages ago that's really cruel for some people, but makes kind of sense. It's that men are made, women are born. Now, I heard this saying from, I think, a guy called Richard Cooper, part of the whole red pill community. And it kind of makes sense because in this context, it refers to the change in value that a person has in society as they age. For example, a woman is extremely valuable to society as a whole in her late teens and throughout her 20s. She becomes, especially if she's super attractive, she becomes basically a freaking wizard, getting anything she wants, almost anything she wants, a lot easier than a man can, and having a lot of advantages in society. And I mean, this goes back to the whole frickin' Weinstein thing where I'm pretty sure that some of those women has slept their way up the top. And it's like this idea that somehow they're somehow persecuted. It's like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of guys who could wish that they could, instead of busting their ass for 5 years, to try and get the attention of the boss, they could just frickin' suck a bit of dick and then get it. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of guys who are like, yeah, screw it, that's 5 years of my life for something I'll hopefully forget, you know what I mean? But it sort of goes back into that like the amount of effort you really have to put into becoming a really strong, grounded man, especially in this day and age, makes me really want to open up those magazines that have advice for women and see why is this even necessary? Okay. Without being seen as too misogynist, I can understand that a lot of those magazines sometimes contain good information like how not to let your sexual power go to your head and become like basically the woman that Weinstein would use, for example, or like how to spot sexual predators or whatever. But when you look at the amount of effort, especially if you're working from ground zero, say for example, you're frickin' Frodo, or like you're like a tiny hobbit. You know, you're not very attractive, you're covered in hair. You know where I'm going with this, and you've got all sorts of issues. The amount of effort you got to fucking put in to get to the top is so much better. And there's so much good. I actually mentioned this in a previous video. Sort of links into the whole rejection thing as well, that women are terrified of rejection simply because there really isn't that much they can do about it if the reasons for that rejection are true. Like for example, if you reject a man, he can earn more money, he can get better muscles, he can at least dress up to the point where he looks reasonable. And just by the nature of hypergamy, it's less about looks for him. Whereas the other way around for a woman, if she gets rejected, it's like, well, you got rejected based on your looks. What are you going to do about it? Hit the gym, get muscles, you know? Okay, you could lose some weight, maybe you could, you know, change your diet so you don't look like a frickin' noughts and crosses. Instead of noughts and crosses, it's like black and red spots all over your face or something like that. There's some things you can do, but there really isn't that much to do. And throughout the whole process of really becoming a man, you sort of realize that some of those road bumps are things that you don't even know if are kind of like intentionally concealed, because just by the fact that rites of passage have just like disappeared over a long period of time, you kind of have to find this stuff, you know. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of guys watching who would be like, where would I be without an internet connection? Because I would have probably some basement dwelling Shito World of Warcraft player, probably. Because without this information, who the hell is going to teach it to you? It's like there's a group, No More Mr. Nice Guy. Great book, I recommend it, by Dr. Robert Glover. I wonder what the light is on this. It's not so bad. How much time we got? It's not so bad. It really does teach you, like there are groups out there, and especially thanks to a certain virus that I can't mention because YouTube demonetization, it is possible now to really educate yourself into anything. Like there's information, like I've listened to hours of information, so much so now I can't remember most of it. And thankfully my brain works in a way whereby if I need the relevant information that I've learned, it will just come to me. I won't have to sort through it like an archive. I mean, sometimes there will be, but I'll be like, you know, someone will talk about, I don't know, like they're going bald or something. And I remember some lecture ages ago with a guy who said that if you mix castor oil with iodine, it will literally rip the hair out of your scalp and reverse balding. And I'm like, oh yeah, I learned that like 6 years ago. Obviously, I'll go and research it again to make sure that it's right, and if it's been disproved, I'll get back in contact with the person and say, false alarm, do not do that, you're going to fucking die, which luckily has never happened. Which luckily has never happened. But I mean, like, there's so much information out there that the only real excuse that we have is willpower. And over the last few days or weeks, I've had some really, really interesting, like, emotional breakthroughs where it comes to understanding myself and understanding my nature, because I've been working in a company that hires a lot of temps now, and I like temps because you can dump all your problems on them and you don't have to worry about them gossiping because they fuck off like a week later. Now I don't do that. I'm a pretty outgoing person, and I don't know why, it was synchronicity, but some of the temps that we've got have just been so on key with just my level of thinking. But like one of them, the consistent message that I got, and I think this is something that, listen to me, please, is that very frequently the image that we have of ourselves and the image that everyone else sees of us is so vastly different that it's almost unbelievable when you actually voice how you feel truly. Now, I get annoyed when I say how I really feel and some people are like, how? Like, why? Like, people say I'm an extrovert, people say I'm an alpha, people say you're a pimp. I'm like, why? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't go around chatting to dozens of girls. What will happen is, if I'm just on point, I'll find myself in like a group of 3 chicks, just chatting and laughing, not even thinking about it, and then just go on my merry way. And then the funny thing is that I'll then start thinking that I've got problems with women straight afterwards. Because the image of myself and the image that everyone else sees of me and my actions, there's such a big disconnect between all 3 of them that, like, I'll get into these situations where I can get into this like negative mental spiral about some trivial bullshit that isn't real. And I should probably not put my headphones on the wet floor and my very expensive Ray-Bans either. My apologies. But it's just been shown to me again and again that, like, the image of myself and and again, all this stems from not having accurate mirrors in our lives. And who are accurate mirrors? Trustworthy friends, role models, the internet, other people. If you don't have an accurate model, and especially if you hide yourself away for a long period of time and don't let your fears and how you feel and how you really are show, what will happen is that because you won't be getting because we're mirrors of each other. Like, we mirror what we see to other people. If we see someone being angry, they will get the impression by listening to our words and looking at our body language that we're angry, that they're angry. We see that. The problem is that if we don't speak out about how we really feel, and if we don't have the right kind of social support, if we don't have the right kind of role models, we will allow these erroneous belief systems to just center themselves in our consciousness, to the point where you will literally believe that you are just someone who you completely are acting as someone who is not. Like me, for example. I have spent the last few months have just been, I freaking love this forest. The last few months have literally just been me consistently being like, I thought I was like that for ages, and I stopped being that years ago. And this links back to another video that I said, whereby if you hold on to pain for long enough, you'll create this mental journey or this like quest whereby I am this person, and through doing these things I will become this other person. But the image of who you are now and who you are ideally is just so warped because it was born in isolation, it was born out of fear, it was born out of misunderstanding. And if you hold on to that image, what will happen is that you'll constantly compare yourself to that erroneous image, and you'll never be happy, you'll never be free, because you have to let go of the image. But that's difficult because you have all these belief systems that say one day, and I mean justified, because you want to be free of pain, you want to be free of whatever's ailing you, but one day I will be free of this and that and the other, and you attach all these other meanings on top of it, but actually you are just allergic to gluten. It's me! That's me. I attach tons of meanings. Oh well, man. Wrist curls, man. I didn't think I needed to do them, but apparently I did. You will attach all of these meanings onto things that don't make any sense. You will attach all of this nonsense onto who you are and who you want to be. And you'll find yourself in a situation whereby you'll just be on this escalator to nowhere. Like you'll be climbing the wrong ladder, and you'll be chasing things that really, when you get them, this is a consistent theme in my life, is that when you have such a small self-image of who you actually want to be, what will happen is that, like, when you eventually achieve your goals, you're never satisfied. You're like, is this it? Is this it? Whenever I put women on a pedestal, I am always disappointed. I am always like, is that it? Like, God, I think it reminds me of a good example. Many people, when they lose their virginity, they're like, oh, that's a great example. They're like, is that it? Like, that was it? That was something that had all this fucking fanfare and all that, bros high-fiving each other when they did it, and you're like, oh man, look at all this porn and what you're gonna do, and you do it, and it's like, all right, you want a cab? It's like, and that's what it feels like when the image of yourself and who you really are is so incongruent. Nothing you will get will be satisfying. You'll always be on this quest to do this or that and the other. And again, it may be a valid quest. It may be you're suffering, maybe you have a condition, maybe you have all sorts of other stuff. But unless you look at who you really are and understand a lot of those negative belief systems, and ask yourself honestly, are you this person that you think you are? Are you this sad, lonely, depressed, anxious? But are you really that person, or is there another meaning behind it? Maybe you're with a partner who you don't like. Maybe you're in a job you don't like. Maybe, who the hell knows? But unless we're truthful enough with ourselves and truthful enough with other people, and we allow other people to mirror us, to also almost like therapy, like unless you vocalize and have the confidence to vocalize how you really feel, you can hold on to some. I've had some stupid assumptions about myself that, because I never vocalized it, I just believed. Like, for example, I used to think that I was ugly until I was like 22, and it was just like, okay, I can't keep this up anymore. But I used to think that it was like, I used to think I wasn't good with people. I used to think all these other things. I used to think, and this is one that I currently have right now, I still think that the right thing to do is to hide my pain. I still think that if I feel pain or discomfort, I erroneously associate that pain or discomfort or anxiety with me being a bad and wrong person. And so what will happen is I'll tense up, which will cause me to lose oxygen, which will cause me to tense up more, which will increase the pain. And I end up in the cycle whereby I'm just super stressed out, to the point where every single masseuse I've been to, when I went to the chiropractor, they all say, how the fuck is someone so carefree, so tense? Because I'm trapped in this spiral based on this negative belief system that I'm somehow wrong and I need to hide my pain, And only through honesty and only through real personal development can you really overcome that.